I can hear you over this bad music. It's all good now.
Dude, that is the music, and I know you love it. I know you just like to bust my balls over this music, because what these people out there don't see is the fact that you sit there jigging away, man. Loving it.
I'm just jigging away.
Loving it, dude. How you doing, Joe?
Doing all right, man.
Back for another weekend of madness?
Madness is what we do.
Yes, 85 people here. 89 now. Scotty Lopez. How you doing, man? And he's muted up. Oh.
Yeah, he's having a great time muted. Look at the face. Whoops.
Oh, that's usually our mistake, Joe.
There we go.
Yes.
Yes, I'm doing fantastic. Just waiting for all these storms to move in. I have my window open because it is hot and muggy and very stormy sort of
global
weather.
warming.
Not just that, you've got your "Don't Tread on Me" flag in the background. That means you're ready to go, man. You're ready to go war, right? You're ready, man. You ready to take on the deep state, Scott? You going deep state hunting?
Deep state hunting, Jesus. I'm just ready for anything, man. I'm just ready for whatever.
Gotta be ready for anything. Talking of ready for anything, there he is, the man himself, the cougar corraller, Jimmy Jeans. And he's muted up as well. What the hell's wrong with people?
I knew it. I could tell. Everything's black because I have a night scene on my computer, and the Skype is black too, so I can't see it. So sorry about that.
So you're like working in the dark,
I'm
dude?
super stoked to be here, man, and I can't wait to get into some of these tasty morsels that I saw on the deli tray.
Well, before we get there, let me remind everyone, I see a lot of mods in the chat room. Thank you all for being here. See a few members kicking about as well. And of course, if you want a membership, what that entails is you get to unlock the free emojis that include a smoking Elon, there's a Chewbacca in there, there's a Yoda, and my personal favorite, Popeye's beard. So you get all of that. We will be having
That's the fantastic one.
That is the fantastic one.
You really want the Popeye beard emoji.
I think we should all buy like fake Popeye beards for tomorrow night, because it's like the Popeye stream on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe's looking into that. We'll get ourselves some fake beardage. We'll be jamming. So yeah, if you want to join the channel, you get that. And this month, starting this month, we will be doing a members only live stream. Last month there was maybe a handful of us, so this time we've got more this month, and I think we'll go for, and I'll announce the date tomorrow. I'll set a date for it tomorrow. So that's one way you can support the stream. You can also,
I got another way.
Yeah.
I got another way. Is if down in the description box, if you look below, down at the way bottom, we're going to fix this, there's a link, a Streamlabs link, for you to download the show in its entirety for free after it's done. The nice thing about it is, you can support Kevin that way. It doesn't cost you a red cent. But the nice thing also is you can take it anywhere you want. You can watch it and listen to it anywhere you want, doing anything you want. Just an easy way to support the show without having to go through the whole rigmarole of getting one of those YouTube downloaders and things like that. Just click on that link, and every episode of The Weekenders be at your disposal.
Absolutely. And if you like what we're using here, Streamlabs, and I know I keep on changing the set every single week, but this now, I like this one. I've been working on this one all week. I like this. We're going to stick with this. But this, for me, is one of the easiest programs out there to stream. I found it thanks to my good friend Unirock, and I tried to use it myself, and it's idiot-proof, folks. I managed to teach myself Streamlabs OBS in about an hour. It's absolutely free, and if you download it from the link in the description, that helps the show as well, because Streamlabs, they give me a couple of cents per download. It's nothing much, but again, it's totally free, and I encourage everyone out there, start a YouTube channel, do your own thing, put your own information out there. Probably the hardest time to be starting a YouTube channel, admittedly, with all the changes and the algorithms and everything else, but do it yourself, get your own material out there, get your thoughts out there, and don't just rely on others. But the more of us doing this, the better. So you can download from there, and if you really want to support the show as well, so many ways to support us. There's Super Chat. You get your message read out. There's also a PayPal link in the description. And with all of that out the way, that's done. That's out the way now. That's gone. No more begging bowl in hand. Well, maybe halfway through the show.
Yeah.
But we're going to launch into it because we've got so much to get into here. I don't even know where to start. Probably a story that I came across today. Sometimes you hear these weird stories, guys, and you just have to take a double take. This one here. A mom who triggered an Amber Alert planned to inject her daughter and herself with bleach, police are saying. So it says here, Brooke Hellman, 41, was arrested and charged with criminal mistreatment of her daughter 10, who she pulled out of school on March the 12th. The Spokesman Review reported. Now, police in Nampa, Idaho, issued an Amber Alert on March 20th for Alyssa Hellman, a day after she was seen with Hellman at a hotel. Now, authorities at the time said they feared the girl may have been in danger due to Brooke's recent threatening behaviour. And this whole thing was she planned to inject herself and her daughter with bleach to get rid of parasites. This was the whole kind of thinking behind this move. Guys, this is pretty weird, pretty strange.
Sounds safe and effective like our vaccine regimen here in the United States. Oh, well, yeah, sure, safe and effective. Don't worry about that. Much like bleach, that'll kill all those germs. Yeah. I'd say at a minimum, you're talking about what was the charge? Like criminal neglect or something?
Criminal mistreatment of her daughter. Yeah.
I think it goes a little bit higher than that. Wanting to inject bleach into your daughter.
Is there not a case to be made that this woman could have some kind of mental issues going on?
I'm thinking.
About to say, it sounds like there's a lot of screws loose up there, and maybe I kind of read through the story, and it said something like she believed like her house was full of parasites or something like that. So obviously she has some kind of a mental issue where she thinks that like parasites are inside of her and her daughter.
Or at least phobia, even.
Something weird going on.
One thing
there.
I thought of as well, and again, it's just pure speculation. It's just honestly what I thought of. Morgellons. Parasites under the skin. That itching that you hear about with Morgellons. And again, that's purely speculation, guys. But, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there probably haven't heard of Morgellons, yet they're suffering from this kind of creepy crawliness. And, where do you turn to? Because the doctors are going to say you're going mad.
You get blown off. Every time you go, you get blown off. You're, in this case, and who knows, maybe it's legit, that you're a freak. You got some screws loose, like you said. However, I'm glad you brought that up because Morgellons isn't like your run-of-the-mill type of illness. You've got the research of Clifford Carnicom that says it's nanotech. You've got areas of the medical research community that say it's fungal. So there's no real grip on it by anybody outside of that invented it. You know what I mean? So who's to say if and maybe she does have a legit concern, but
it's interesting. It's interesting you bring up
bleach is bad. I don't see a positive outcome coming from that.
It's interesting that you bring up that some people say that it's a fungal sort of thing, and we were just talking about the mushrooms and the spores and all of that stuff yesterday on Freaky Friday, and while we were talking about that, I was actually thinking about Morgellons, and I was thinking about like nano dust, and even I guess you could say the black goo. And we were talking about why does it have to be a technology, and you were saying, you were talking about organic, right? Joe, how if they're going to start doing this stuff, they're going to start going organic because it's a lot, it just, your body probably wouldn't reject it as much as say something that's,
as well, especially when you can tailor it down to, a genetic specific type of weapon that doesn't have that rejection factor.
Program organic compound kind of
Yeah.
situation is what
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Right.
You know, so I don't know, just interesting. So I mean, maybe Morgellons is like an organic sort of technology compound.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? It's really weird. The whole Morgellons thing is very bizarre, and you know, how do you fake something like that? You know, I've seen the pictures of the sores that people get from those, and you see those strange fibers and weird things growing in them. I mean, you can't fake
clearly
something
artificial. Clearly artificial.
Yeah, you're not
Nice.
faking that.
Something that's,
No, the
No.
whole thing, Kev, about it being organic is that, you know, the body is the resource.
Mhm.
You know, it's the power cell. It's all the material needed to create that fiber optic network that it's doing. It's all the material to become self-replicating. I mean, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
So it's advantageous to be organic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they based this nanotech off of mycelium or spores or something. You know,
The
who knows?
mycelium network. Jimmy Jeans, yes. You're wanting to add into this mix, man.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying yesterday about the organic materials. I mean, everybody's talking about you know, the move to installing technology into humans, where there's, you know, this premise of this half robot, half person type, you know, machine man type woman thing. But the reality of the situation is most of what's going on is software based, and the technology is already in us via these aerosol delivery mechanisms. All the nanotechnology to achieve these network connections and make human beings a node is already in place. Whether or not it's up and running or functioning is you know, still remains to be seen. But I think there's some people that have direct experience with being controlled by something or being annoyed by something.
It says here,
So-
I mean, check this out, Jimmy. I mean, it says Morgellons is the informal name of a self-diagnosed, unconfirmed skin condition in which individuals have sores that they believe contain some kind of fibers. No, they most definitely do contain some kind of fibers. They do. And for anyone out there who's on the fence about this, Clifford Carnicom, the Carnicom Institute, one of the, you know, leading kind of researchers into this stuff. I think, Joe, he was one of the first guys that like detected this, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really got into
Yeah.
it. We had him on
he's
Freaky
the-
Friday one time, dude. That's like one of our highlights, man.
Yeah, Griff had introduced me to him long ago, years ago, and interestingly enough, his wife is also a doctor, and they both have Morgellons. They both have it. His wife contracted it first, and that kind of got the juices flowing to start looking into it. Well, soon after he started looking into it and finding, you know, this, that, and the other thing, his website starts getting visited by all of these governmental agencies, some big tech, big pharma agencies, things like that were very suspect. You know, it's not so much like in a type of research kind of way where people are going to his site and trying to research it. They were doing it so much so that it raised a serious flag that his ISP or his website provider actually reached out and was like, "What's going on, man? There's something seriously wrong here." You know? So then he started listing it on his website, and he had about 120 or so of these departments and companies and things like that he just listed it, you know, out there for everybody to see and say, well, you know, if what I'm saying is so suspect or wrong, then why are they all looking at me like this and spending so much time going through all my material? And he had, and still to this day, has people sending in samples, and he set up his own laboratory. He's done it all on his own dime, and it's an unbelievable setup he's got too. So, yeah, I've got to get him on the broadcast here again soon. He doesn't do interviews, doesn't like them at all. And not so much that he doesn't like to talk to people. It's just that he's so busy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's literally doing this. This is his life's work, and he does very well at it. So, yeah, he really blew the lid off of it. he continues to be a resource, not just for advancing the understanding of it, but also helping people cope with the symptoms and the outcome of having to live with this on a day-to-day basis. It's very difficult.
See, my future plans for the stream is eventually, maybe not Clifford Carnicom, but we'll be able to bring in, you know, some of these experts. And I'm talking real leading experts in all of the fields that we cover. And then we'll be able to go right to the very best source, you know, we'll be able to challenge some of their ideas maybe. But as long as we're getting the best information out there for people, it's like the way I've got that astrophysicist, Brendan Drackler. He would certainly come up. Yeah, he would come along one night. He does camera podcasts anyway. And I know people in our circles aren't really going to take to him right away because he laughs and jokes about the fact that, you know, NASA part fund some of his programs and things like that, his thesis that he's working on. So right away, people are going to let their prejudices probably get in the way of his information. But when you speak to this guy's like, it's a breath of fresh air, because we often think scientists, they're just repeaters, right? They just repeat the old theories that are out there. They never challenge anything and just go along to get along so they get their grants. Couldn't be further from the truth. And I know he's just one person in one institute, the Rochester Institute of Technology. But I tell you what, it's encouraging, guys. Very encouraging.
Absolutely. And speaking of moms, how would you feel? How would you feel, Kev, if your son, you work, your wife works, you drop off the kid at the daycare center, and come to find out, you go to pick him up, well, that kid's not there. And nobody knows where it is. And oh, by the way, it's not just your kid. There's a few kids that have sprung the coop. Well, according to Huffington Post, there was a band of toddlers that were found wandering near the highway. Yeah, after escaping from daycare. That's right. In Prairieville, Louisiana. Kids are safe. But could you imagine hitting a toddler? You're driving down the highway, have nothing, you know, and you have to live with that for the rest of your life. It's crazy. Listen to this. It says a Louisiana daycare had its license revoked, and rightfully so, after 4 toddlers somehow got loose and a driver spotted them near a local highway. I mean, I'm literally getting chills here. It says the Louisiana Department of Education revoked the license of Color Wheel Learning Center in Prairieville after receiving a report on March 22nd about the tot escape. According to the station, WAFB, daycare staff had no explanation for how, get this, Kev, 1-year-olds got out of the play yard and ended up outside of a fence by a nearby highway. They're barely walking. The passerbys who spotted the kids stopped, gathered the children, and returned them to the daycare center. Now, this isn't the first time it's happened, too. In October, they had a similar incident when a 1-year-old opened a gate and wound up in the parking lot. That event led to a citation for lack of supervision. And they appealed it, and guess what? The center is effectively closed. And I got to tell you, I would be absolutely livid, pissed, if my 1-year-old, 1 years old, is out wandering by the highway. Like I said, you can't even walk.
Oh, don't. Somebody's getting an ass whooping on the end of this one, dude.
Holy shit, man.
How does that even happen, guys? Come on.
CB in the chat room says toddler flash mob.
Brilliant.
Now that's funny.
Swarming toddlers, man.
Oh, yeah, totally, man. I love but I was kind of taken aback by it, Kev. I got to be honest with you. I didn't realize that level of incompetence could exist where you have that many toddlers, 4 of them, that young, and nobody noticed.
There's like almost an agreement, you know, when you drop your kids off at one of these daycares or nurseries, you just have an expectancy that they're going to be safe, right? And I get accidents happen, you know, they might fall over, they might cut a knee, things happen. But not to the point where they're all wandering about on the side of the road. This goes beyond incompetence. It truly does. I mean, Scott, Jimmy, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's total incompetence, and obviously nobody was there watching the kids, right? Like they probably just put them in a play area and then just walked off and were dicking around and doing whatever. It's what it sounds like to me. And if one of these kids would have gotten hit by a car, they could have been held responsible for manslaughter, probably wrongful death.
You would think so, wouldn't you? If they're kind of
rightfully so that they got shut down, because you're dealing with a bunch of incompetent morons, it sounds like, that don't know what the hell they're doing, or they don't care. I think that's probably more of what's going on here, is that these people are just kind of wanting to rake in the money from this daycare, and they really don't give a shit about these people's kids and stuff, and that's unfortunate.
No, you're right. And more and more, especially nowadays, Jimmy, single families as well, people have to find somewhere, that they think their child's going to be safe. And then you come to learn about stories like this. And I imagine if we went trawling the internet, it's not, there'd be similar kind of head-shaking stories, Jimmy. It's crazy stuff, man. It's crazy. And yet, what are people meant to do? Because you have to live, right? And we know that the government handouts, they ain't enough for most single families to live on. Doesn't matter what country you're in. So you're in that catch-22, right?
Yeah, you definitely are. But I mean, to me, first thing that comes to my mind when I see this story or I hear this story is that this is a perfect promotional tool to give parents reason to be concerned and reason to worry and want to sign up for that service where they get the tracking and tracing of their children 24 hours a day with, what are they going to put a device on their leg, or, what's maybe better? Why don't we just, inject them with a little under the skin implant? This way we can keep track of them. You know what I mean? We don't want them getting outside the gate.
That makes me think of something. I'll come back to you, right? But check this out, because I remember this is one of the things I came across. One of the things I came across when I was first looking into information, we'll hear about the microchipping of the population. We'll get this. My chip is about our kids. My chip, the Masonic Youth Child Identification Program, has identified more than 300,000 children since its inception in 1988. Now, you can't take away from that, no matter what your thoughts are on the chipping process, if they've literally helped. Do you know what I mean? And it continues to assist families today. The program provides tools to help law enforcement and authorities find and identify a lost or missing child. And there it is there, Masonic Info Chip Programs.
It's funny, Kev, not 45 minutes away from his Yale University, right? Well, it's a little more than that, probably like an hour. But on the way there, you've got a place called Masonicare.
Sonic. Wow.
Masonicare. Yeah. It's actually it's a medical establishment, Masonicare.
Well, this one's from Connecticut.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. That's it. Yep. Masonicare. So if you don't think that this kind of stuff, isn't driven by, those of influence, you're sadly mistaken. It most certainly is. And this chipping, it's almost like, the whole dog thing, you don't want to lose your dog. You don't want to steal your dog. Well, chip it and everything's going to be okay. It's really not that hard, first of all, if you're going to do that, to remove it, because it's right under the skin. It's not hard to find.
Honey, I chipped the kids.
Yeah, you can actually buy one of those chip readers and find it, beep, take it out, done. My dog. Haha.
You're not against people. You're not against people being able to keep track of their dogs, are you, Joe? You don't want people to lose their loved one, their companion.
Yeah, Ange just said it best. If you can't keep track of your dog, you shouldn't have one. Period. That's it.
The same definitely should go for a child.
And a child, yeah. Exactly, you can't keep track of your child, probably shouldn't be having children.
Well, let me ask you guys, right? Honest question. Say we were all 25, 30 years old again, no children. Would you bring a child into the world today, knowing what we know now? Really, as a bit of a kind of, what a question, but I'll come to you first, Jimmy. The way the world is right now, what do you think? Would you have a family?
Yeah, the only thing in my life that I haven't really done that I wanted to do was have a family. So yeah, I would.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I did, I would be as far away from America as I could possibly get and live still in a
Jimmy
good
would
situation.
be in Astana, ladies and gentlemen.
One of the things that I learned,
Periopolis.
one of the things that I learned, especially living down in rural North Carolina, was domesticated animals, when neglected or left to their own devices. You want to talk about suffering, and you want to talk about an inability to take care of themselves. You remember all the times that I told you about, and this is what happens, right? You make it so that if somebody can't handle a dog or a cat anymore, you have these places like the SPCA and these humane societies, that take in these animals. But there's a caveat, and that caveat is you can no longer adopt an animal anymore. You get blacklisted, yada, yada, yada. Well, people don't want that. So let's say, for example, okay, you lost your job and you can no longer afford to handle the dog. But that doesn't mean 5 years down the road you haven't recovered and you might want to adopt an animal, only now you can't. So what do? They drive them out to the rural areas and they ditch them. And I can't tell you how many animals showed up at our door. You remember one of my little, one of our best pets that we've ever had showed up at our house one night, and it was scratching on the door. I was sleeping. Ange is in the kitchen, and Ange thought somebody was trying to break in. And come to find out, she looks down and she sees an emaciated Dachshund down at the base of the door. Brought him in, bathed him, plopped him on me as I'm sleeping. What? Oh, no, not a dog, no, right? So then we had a dog, and come to find out, I think he had a brain tumor, and that's why the owners took it. He had horrible seizures and things like that. But we, for the year that we had him, he's an older pup, gave him the best year he probably ever had, but that was one of many cases that we saw of domesticated animals that were ditched, because these humane societies and these municipalities, once you turn them in, they blacklist you, and then you can't adopt anymore. So it sends everybody out to where they can do that and then not adopt. And it's a sad thing to see what these animals go through when that happens. Is awful, awful, awful. I can't even begin to describe to you. And how many of these animals then I had to go and put out of their misery because of that. They were attacked. They were mangled. Some of them missing limbs. I mean, it's awful, because you got to remember, it's not just not being able to find food and things like that. It's predators. It's predators. There's a Forgotten Ferals page on Facebook that my wife started that kind of chronicled a little bit of the what we went through. And I got to tell you, it was an eye-opening experience, not just for that, but also to get in touch with how animals, like the hierarchy, like, for example, in a feral cat community, what happens when cats start to form their own community, and you get to see the behavioral patterns and how they communicate. And also, it's very interesting at night, you put feeders out everywhere for these animals. And next thing you know, you've got a raccoon, you got a cat, you got a freaking fox, you got a possum. They're all eating together. Hey, Frank. Hey, Steve. How you doing today? Long day at the office, that kind of thing. They do that, and it's unbelievable. But yeah, that's what these domesticated animals, Kev, the one thing is letting them go, not being able to fend for themselves, but also not spaying and neutering. I mean, that is a huge issue that I used to think Bob Barker was crazy as hell, but I'll tell you what, he was spot on. That is a major issue. And when you don't have your animal spayed or neutered and they get out and they, oh man, what am I going to do with these 6 cats now?
Yeah, we had an issue like that happened with my grandmother's cat. She didn't get her fixed, and she got out and got pregnant, and Next thing you know, we have a bunch of cats that we're having to try and, find homes for. So, and it's interesting you bring up the whole domesticated animal situation, because I want to make a little parallel here between, these domesticated animals that get let loose in the wild and they can't fend for themselves. And, if you think about it, we're domesticated. You know what I mean? Humanity is domesticated right now.
Absolutely.
At least in the Western society. Yeah. In the U.S., we are domesticated.
Yeah, we are.
So if shit was to ever hit the fan, think about how many people would not be able to fend for themselves or survive in a situation like that.
Let me also say this too. Let me interrupt you real quick, and then I'll throw it back to you. But I can't tell you how many litters of kittens Ange hand raised. She didn't have to. She could have let them die out there. But we talk about personal responsibility all the time, and you have to. To me, it's when you do things like, this litter of kittens out there, it's gonna, just let them go. They're just freaking vermin. They're cats, right? There's things that the universe does that will go and throw it right back at you every freaking time. It's like the boomerang effect. Mom always said, if you do this, why, it's going to come back to bite you in the end. And it does. It does a million times over. When you do shady shit, if you do things that are wrong, but you do it anyway, like, litter of kittens, F them. Who gives a shit? I'm telling you, it's bad. She was bottle feeding them every 2 hours, Scott. It's nuts. But what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. No, so, you're right, and like I said, I just think it's a good parallel to the condition that humanity is in right now, because so many people depend on the government to take care of them. They depend on so many, they're so dependent on the system.
Yeah, dependent on whether it be government, family, whatever. You've got so many people that can't take care of themselves. You're so right. So right.
Exactly. And so, if something was to really go down, like an economic collapse or something like that, where that rug is just pulled out from everybody, we're all basically those domesticated animals you were just talking about that were cut loose in the wild.
By percentage, what would you say, in your personal opinion, percentage-wise, would die if the switch was flipped?
85% at least. At least 85% would die. I believe. Everybody, most of the population of this country is located in high population, high density cities, right? Like LA, New York, Chicago, all those people have no skills to survive in the wild. You know what I mean? Like to go out and actually hunt for their own food. They can't even grow their own food. A lot of these people think that food just originates at the grocery store. They don't even know how it gets to the grocery store. You know what I mean? So, no, you would see it would be an absolute crazy death toll, I think. Of course, you would have your people that would probably, you would have your natural instincts kind of kick in, and I think this genetic memory would kick in, where even if you lived in the city, if you got cut loose in the forest, maybe you might kind of start figuring things out, like, oh, okay, maybe I should make a shelter, maybe I should make a fire, something like that. Yeah, maybe, yeah. And but I don't know. I think it would be a high percentage of the population would not be able to handle it, wouldn't be able to cut it, and they would probably perish within a few years.
Jimmy,
it would just be crazy.
Jimbo.
Yeah, I mean, the ability of people to survive if something was to happen. It's like every Mo, Joe, and Blow with a 22 would be shooting everything that moves within 100 miles of any city. There won't be anything. There won't be a squirrel. There won't be a deer. There won't be anything. There won't be a stray cat. You know what I'm saying? People are going to go out and that's the thing is, you know, there's ways to survive if you had to, but I mean, you got to take the effort, time, and energy to learn how to do that. I mean, there's literally a salad around our feet, pretty much. People just don't recognize what's right in front of their.
And a lot of people wouldn't even take the time to learn. They would try to seek out. They would try to seek out other people to take care of them, you know, because they were so used to being
that's right,
taken care of and being dependent on the system that they wouldn't be willing to learn those survival skills. They would just go and look for a leader or look for somebody.
The system's painted everybody into a corner with this stuff, man. It's these kind of stories with this kid. Look, I came from the generation, and I don't know if Joe and you guys came from the same kind of generation as I did.
Hell no.
When I was a little kid, our parents let us go outside, and we didn't come back until it got dark. We were supposed to come back when the street lights came on.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. That's what's wrong with kids nowadays. They're not going out. They're not getting dirty. They're not digging holes. They're not cutting themselves and getting little infections to prepare themselves for later on. You're right, man.
Thank you. So, I mean, we're not so children, they lose the ability to figure out common sense. If you step on a rake, it's going to smack you in the face. If you never saw a rake, you don't know that rake's going to smack you in the face.
We've
you don't
just
have
started something new, Jimmy. I bet you within a week there'll be kids taking to YouTube to do the Jimmy Jean's rake challenge. They'll be whacking themselves in the face. You know, boof, one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's just these things. It's just the things that you learn in life to be a child and growing up in the environment.
Joe looks like he's just done the rake challenge. Looks like he's been hit with a spade. But no, I want to go back just a little bit because I never got to mention the cats. I've got my cat up on the screen there. I tell you what, right? They say dogs are a man's best friend. Since I've been in the house, like, I'm not going to say not well, but since I've not been working, more time at home, I'd be lost without that cat. And I'm telling you, that cat knows.
The relationship is totally different between a cat and a dog. I mean, I've got a cat. I've got 4 cats and I got a dog, right? And I'll tell you what, cats hands down, more intelligent, more in touch with your feelings and everything else, you know. It's just there is something about
you're going against the common perception of cats, because the common perception of cats is they're assholes and they don't care about their owners, or that they believe that they're the master and that they dominate the owner, and they really don't give a shit, you know. You know, I've got 2 cats. I've got 2 cats and I got a dog, and our male cat Charlie. I mean, he is just the most lovable guy you could ever. He'll let anybody pick him up, and he just is like, you know, like scratch me, you know, and you know, he's so cool. But our other cats, you know, one of those skittish cats that don't like to be around people. It's a female, and usually the females are more skittish than the males. The males are more social, I guess you could say, with humans.
Yeah,
but no, they're just like any other, you know. I mean, cats. Each cat's got their own personality. Some are more distant than others.
You know, the Egyptians, they absolutely idolized them, and I often joke with Anne. You know, we might have forgotten that cats are royalty, but cats ain't forgotten that they're royalty. Oh, hell no, no.
It's funny. Ange is one of her litmus tests for determining whether or not she wants to interact with somebody or get to know them is whether or not they're a cat person. And it may sound kind of crazy, but there's a logic to it. Cats are much more in tune with their environment, especially with regards to spirituality. And typically, people that are cat people are more deeply emotional. They're more in tune with intuition and things like that. They're very intuitive. There is a special connection that owners have with their cats that can't be replicated with a dog. And like I said, I don't hate dogs. I love dogs. But they're shallow creatures. They're very, very shallow. There's no depth to them at all. Not like a cat.
Well, I think it depends. I think it depends on the dog. I think it's an individual basis sort of thing. You know what I mean? You know, it's just like humans too. You get some assholes, you get some people that are cool. You know, it's just like, you know, it's the same thing with animals. You get asshole cats, you get asshole dogs, but you get dogs and cats that are really cool. And, you know, so, you know, like our dog, Bubba, you know, he's a half lab, half German Shepherd. And he's just so cool. You know, he's really, really cool. I mean, he don't like strangers, obviously. I mean, but that's the reason why we got him. You know, he's our guard dog, basically. But him and that cat, him and our cat Charlie, they play fight. You know, it's so cool to watch them play around with each other and all that stuff. Because, you know that if that dog was to actually that cat would tear him up.
You see, that's what we're talking about. Some interspecial relationships. We can't even get on with our own sort. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely right. Our dog, Benny, and the cats, they have a blast together. You know, and to be honest with you, Benny's a little more of a nuisance to the cats than anything. They tolerate him, but at the same time, like when he wants to play, they're all about playing with him, you know, and they'll go and smack him around and things like that. And he sticks his ass in the air and wagging his tail and all. So, I mean, they have a great relationship.
Charlie will initiate the play. So, like, Bubba will be sitting there, and Charlie will just, like, run out and, like tackle him, like, wrap his paws around his neck, you know what I mean? And do that thing. And it's just like, wow, you know, it's crazy to see that. But our other cat, Millie, she wants nothing to do with with none of them. She announces the area immediately. She's like, she's a very
astute.
You see, Jimmy's disgusted at us all because he's got one of these crazy fighting dogs. Look, he's disgusted at all this pussy talk. Look, he's like, that pussy's not having any of this, man. None of it. He's gone. Look, he's retired.
Did he freeze up?
We had a mother cat one night. This is a feral cat, right? That her baby was attacked and just torn to pieces by a predator. And just to show you, you know, the level of emotional connection and intelligence. Now, this is a feral cat. But they knew that we took care of that colony. They knew that you know, they trusted us, which is, for a cat to trust you, it takes a lot for a cat to gain their trust. And when you do, I mean, it's something. It's pretty significant. And in this case, she brought the pieces of her offspring to our doorstep and sat there, and I could tell just by the look in her eyes, can you help us? Just pleading for us to help to put her kitten back together.
Whoa.
You know? Oh, man. I mean,
cats in ancient Egypt were represented in social and religious practices of ancient Egypt for more than 30 centuries. 30 centuries.
30 centuries. We, as a matter of fact, I went and buried the kitten. The pieces of the kitten. I buried it, and she went and dug it up and brought them each piece back to the doorstep and sat there and like, come on, really, please help me. You know, that it was gut wrenching. It was horribly gut wrenching. Poor Ange had a total breakdown over it because it was just unbelievable.
Yes. Oh, don't, man. Cats are, they pull on the emotions, dude. They really do. Yeah. And I know even some of the viewers listening to this, they've had a hard time listening to this because when it comes to animals, humans care more about animals than they do about
each other.
Yeah. Big time. But I've always found it interesting, this relationship with Egypt. Several ancient Egyptian deities were depicted and sculptured with cat-like heads, such as Mastet and Sekhmet, representing justice, fertility, and power. Now, where did they get that idea from?
I don't know.
He's back. You know, look, Jimmy Jeans has rejoined us. He's He's there. He's sensing that we're moving away from pussy talk. Look.
Power nap.
Yep. Scott's camera's given up on him. That's why we're seeing that crazy graphic,
but
folks.
You spoke about how we treat animals better than we treat ourselves. The Calgary Sun shows that in vivid detail as two men took turns wearing bulletproof vests and then shot each other.
Oh yeah, man!
I saw this earlier today. That was amazing.
Two Arkansas man. I'll tell you what, man. That's Arkansas. I knew immediately it had to be somewhere down there.
Scott, we can't see you. Scott, I don't know if you know, but your camera hasn't loaded back up.
Yeah. I'm trying.
That's okay. Two Arkansas men have been arrested on suspicion of aggravated assault after police say they shot each other while taking turns wearing a bulletproof vest. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette reported that 50-year-old Charlie Ferris and 36-year-old Christopher Hicks were arrested Monday. A police affidavit said the two men are neighbors and were drinking. No. On a deck Sunday when Ferris told Hicks to shoot him with a .22, while Ferris wore the vest. The affidavit said the shot left a red mark on Ferris's chest and he became angry because it hurt. Duh.
You see, Joe, this is like you said to me, it really would have been a better story if we'd had like mugshots of like
totally
more apt mugshots. They don't look quite swamp people enough to be doing this.
They look kind of normal.
No.
But if they were swamp people, it would be a lot better. Now, affidavit said Hicks then
what
put
point,
on...
Joe, at what point are we sitting around, right, on Bohemian Grove or anywhere, and do we go, well, you know, it's that time of day now. Have you got the bulletproof vests? Yep, right, check. Let's go shoot each other. What the hell goes through somebody's mind? What process ends up with the two of you shooting each other?
I don't know. But the affidavit said that Hicks then put on the vest and Ferris unloaded the clip into his back, causing bruises but no serious injuries. So he got mad that he's like, okay. Or actually, it's a .22. Pop, 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 pop. But it doesn't matter. I mean, come on. At what point in time are you that bored to do that? I remember it was a Sam Kinison clip. He was talking about a party. He goes, you know, who's that guy at the party that says, hey, wow, we're out of pot, out of beer, out of Coke. Hey, doesn't your brother have a gerbil in his room? Why don't we go take him, shave him, and jam up my ass? Yeah, that's what we'll do. That'll make a party. You know, it's like that.
Dude.
Take a .22 and shoot each other?
That's worse than Jordan Sather and his coffee enemas. Honestly, yeah, man, come on.
Man, I mean, what the hell is going on?
It's Arkansas, and don't forget, you can't spell Arkansas without Kansas. So,
I don't get it. I don't get it, right? As a Brit, as somebody who uses the English language, how can Kansas be Kansas and Arkansas when it's blatantly the same Kansas? Why isn't it Arkansas?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Say it that way. Some people say it that way, but
do they?
You know,
do they really?
Yeah, they do. But you know, they deserve to be slapped for saying it that way. But
Jimmy, your thoughts on people getting that bored that they decide it's a good idea to shove on a bulletproof vest and take one for the team? And he's muted up. There he is. And he's still muted up.
And he's still muted up.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Unmute. He's muted. What have you pressed, James?
For the win, Jim. For the win.
Come on, Jimmy. You can do it. You can find that button. It's a golden button.
Yeah, somehow I clicked on the picture of the cat, the black cat with the blue eyes, and it took over my screen.
The cat. So come on, Jimmy. Have you ever been involved in any like late afternoon gunfights involving bulletproof vests?
No, but when I was a kid, I mean,
I knew it. You had. I knew it.
Yeah, my friend's older brother used to send us over the schoolyard and shoot us with a BB gun.
See, that's not right.
He'd have us running around over there, and he'd just use us for target practice. One time I was hiding behind a bunch of these meters, you know, like gas meters. I was like a little kid, I was small. I was hiding behind the gas meter. The only thing sticking out was my thumb. My thumb was sitting on the top of this pipe, and he shot me right in the thumb.
See,
right
that's a good shot.
Thumbnail.
That is a good shot.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, the point I was going to make about this stuff is that, you see these guys that they'll taser themselves, they'll
What's that
spray
all
themselves
about?
with pepper spray, to see what it's going to be like. You know what I mean? And like for example, that there's a bunch of different kind of pepper sprays you can buy for yourself for self protection, but there's one that's 15% pepper spray, and that's the stuff that they use for bears, to spray in a bear's face. And that stuff, if you get sprayed with the stuff, most people carry, it's not really going to hurt you that bad. I mean, you'll be able to get away with it. I mean, you'll be able to, get through it. But this stuff, man, you get sprayed by this 15% stuff, you're going down. And what was funny was I was buying some for my mom, to have around the house. And while I was at the store, the guy behind the counter started going to this whole explanation about it because him and his buddy sprayed each other with it to test it or whatever. And the dude said, he was.
If they want to know what it feels like, I can just go ahead and rule that out. I can go ahead and let them know.
There's videos on here, and I refuse to show any of these videos, Scott, of people tasering themselves. I refuse to do it.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Oh, you got to show some of that, man, because these people are literally, come on, Bob, hit me with it. They have no idea. Some of these things, I got a couple different devices, self-defense devices. I got one thing, it looks like a cattle prod, like a black stick. But the thing about it is when you push the trigger on this thing and it goes and the sparks fly off the end of it, I mean, literally, pit bulls will, just hearing that sound, a pit bull will turn around and go away. Any dog hears that sound, they just turn around and go in the opposite direction. And it's the same thing with an attacker or somebody who's going to throw an assault down on you. If you got a heavy, you got a heavy lightning stick in your hand, you can do some damage. See,
okay, here we go.
Animals are away from. Oh, what we got?
Here we go. Here's one of these geniuses here.
Oh yeah, this ought to be good.
My cousin over there doing some other shit, and I'm telling you something.
Come on, dude, just do it.
Oh, I'm gonna shock this can. Look.
Don't shock the can.
Oh shit.
Yeah, funnily enough, dude, when you're holding something metal and you shock it, don't be surprised when you get the shock, you absolute genius.
That's hilarious. Well, you know what really kind of started this trend, I think. I mean, obviously, I think people have always done stupid shit like this for ages. You know what I mean? People get bored and they decide they're going to do retarded stuff. But I think what really kind of started the trend of all this was that show Jackass. Remember? And they kind of popularized the whole doing these extreme sort of.
Do you remember all that stuff when it was first on the go, dude?
Oh my God. Yeah, you remember how big Jackass became when it first came out? Just because of how outrageous it was and the I guess you could call it stunts or whatever that they were doing. Like standing in front of a wall wearing nothing but like a jock strap and letting people just dump on you with a paintball gun. And
why?
I mean, just Steve-O and...
Do you think there was a social engineering component to that? Now, this sounds ridiculous. Yes. This sounds conspiratorial, but does that not help to dumb down a population a little, Jimmy?
No, there was, man, for sure. That was definitely anything. MTV is a platform for social engineering. They are engineering the future adults, the adults that'll be here in a short while, and and they're even engineering adults. I mean, there's quite a few adults that still watch MTV, but
it's not even music programming anymore, right? It's not even
social engineering.
It's social engineering, and they push social agendas and they push stuff like that. You can see with a lot of the movie or a lot of the shows, I should say, that they show on there. You have like what is it like? Oh man, I can't even think of the name, but it has to do with like
all the reality shows that were on there.
Just to catch Joe up, guys. Just to catch Joe up, we're talking about We got into Jackass, and whether there was a case to be made for that kind of programming to be part of social engineering, to help dumb people down, take part in these stupid pranks that we see more and more of nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was telling Kev that was the show that popularized that whole thing of people being, people tasing themselves and doing stupid stunts. That was propagated on television, on MTV, and it kind of shaped that whole generation. And a lot of those people that watch that, they end up being the YouTubers that go on YouTube and do stupid crap because they want to try to one up them. You know what I mean? They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna take it to the next level. I'm gonna go beyond Jackass."
You mean like eating Tide Pods?
Oh man, I mean, you want to talk about these crazy stunts that then they gather like a following, if you will. Unbelievable. And as funny as that stuff is, it comes at a cost. And people do, what is it? Like they call it copycat, right? You see it sometimes with mass shooters and other criminal activity. So if people would do that for that, then that they would do that for practical jokes. Like that one episode of Jackass where they take the battery-powered hair clippers and how many people do you think got the patch of hair shaved off the back of their head or whatever after that episode? It's crazy.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah, and the thing is like with Jackass, even though it was really dangerous and stuff, there is a production crew behind it. There's money behind it, and there's a level of safety. There's a level of safety being enforced, even if it doesn't appear that way, right? They try to make it look like it's organic and that but there is a level of something going on there to protect those people. So then you get these people that think that they can emulate that, and they go and do it, and then you get people that get hurt, and get killed or whatever, trying to do these stunts. So, it just shows that. And like I said, I think that it is part of the whole dumbing down of the population, just showing idiocy on TV. It's kind of like a Idiocracy in a way, that kind of programming. And it is funny. I mean, it does make you laugh.
Oh, I've laughed at it big time.
I've watched Jackass. I've watched the movies, all of that stuff. I enjoy it, but it is what it is. And you can see kind of, the social impact of that, and like I said, I mean, it's on MTV, and we all know MTV just pushes.
Is it as big now, Scott, as it used to be? When I was like growing up, I'm about the same age as Joe. It used to be huge. Everyone would be watching it, right? But is it still as big? I don't
think so. I think they put out the perception that maybe they're bigger than they really are, kind of like mainstream media in a way. I think it has to do with everything on that, on the platform of just television in general. I think viewership has dropped off massively.
I do too.
And so they put out the perception that they're bigger than they really are. But every once in a while I'll like flip through and, flip over there and see what they're showing. And it's like Teen Mom, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? So that social engineering, these shows that, you can go get knocked up when you're a teen and maybe be on a reality show. It's horrible stuff, and they push a lot of social justice warrior agenda stuff. And
my favorites.
Yes, liberal sort of left-wing propaganda is just oozing from MTV right now. So
not good. Not good.
It's a big shit show, basically. There's really nothing worth watching on that, and really probably nothing worth watching on television anyway. I mean,
you're right. TV. Kristen in the chat room, her daughter's got it right. They were listening to this on the way home. We've got a new fan. I would imagine that's a young teenager. Yes, far better influence with the Weekenders here. Perhaps, maybe. Probably some stories we might get into might not be suitable for your teenage daughter, but we will see.
Yeah.
Yes, we will see. So where are we going now? Because we've got another couple of stories here. We've still got more stories. We've got one about Uri Geller. We're getting Uri Geller? Yeah, because Uri Geller, I brought him up the other day, old Uri. And interesting character when you look at the history of him, and quite a comical character as well, because he was threatening to put the kibosh on Brexit. Yeah, he was going to hex Theresa May in Parliament and all the rest of it. You'll never guess what has gone and happened. Uri Geller claims he caused the Commons roof leak with his psychic powers. Yes, the Mossad double agent CIA cat, Uri Geller, has knackered the roof at Westminster, and his telepathic powers are there for all to see now, chaps.
Oh, man, this is awesome. I mean, come on. I wish we all could do that. Like, could you imagine the Halo? I'm going to bring the roof down in Congress. Yeah.
We need to get him in a room with some of the Russian psychic soldiers I was talking about yesterday on Friday, and see who will win. Battle to the death. Cyborg.
Bend the spoon more.
But on a more serious side, he's a character that's worth looking into, isn't he? Because he's like the men that stare at goats. He's that kind of character. Comes from Mossad. You know, worked for the Americans. Probably worked for MI5, MI6 as well. You know, people joke about Uri Geller and his spoons and things. I think that was a perfect cover for him to be going here, there, and everywhere around the world, meeting all these rich and famous, influential people. That is the perfect cover for somebody that used to work for Mossad to continue being a spook.
You think?
You think, Joe?
If for nothing else, Uri Geller has been very entertaining over the years. That's for sure. But like I said, you know, that's not to poo-poo people that there is certainly people out there that have that type of capability, you know, to varying extent, of course. And sometimes it's not so evident, you know. Some people can go ahead and bend spoons, if you will. But other people have a more spiritual connection, you know, or maybe, like I said, the fast lane, you know.
I think a lot of these people who have these abilities never go public with it, and it's something that they can't control. You know what I mean?
Most
and it's something
people are
that
humble in their approach to that, because think about it, Scotty. Like, you know, Ange recently had that time slip thing, and she's not normally one to talk about that stuff. She kind of feels compelled to speak about it a lot because of just its just how much of an outlier it was in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, people don't tend to want to rock that boat when it comes to that. Or
why do you want to rock
John
that?
even said it best. Johnny King said it best, you know, in that when you do utilize those gifts and those things, sometimes for the wrong purpose, boy, it can have a serious backlash as well, you know. So,
and another thing is sometimes if you have these abilities, it's more of a curse, and you're tortured by it. You know what I mean? Because it's something that's uncontrollable, and it's something that, frankly, you know, a lot of people don't even want that. You know what I mean?
I hear Ange say all the time.
Yeah. So
she'll say the same thing, you know, that sometimes she wishes she was never born with these abilities because of what it does. It makes you a target. It puts like the equivalent of a spiritual bullseye on your back, and then you're constantly being attacked and harassed. It's crap.
Yeah, I couldn't handle that. You know, speaking to Bill Bean once a month, and he doesn't have any of these like telepathic powers or anything like that, right? But I can imagine what it must be like for people who can, you know, pick up on things psychically, stuff like that. But there's Bill dealing with it month to month, and it stains you. I don't care what anyone says, whether you're just somebody that can see, you know, beyond the veil, or somebody that's working with all these entities. Takes its toll on yourself, guys. And you said earlier,
it's like having the filter. It's like having the filter removed, and you're getting information overload.
Yeah, you know, very much. Very much.
It's like Joe said earlier as well, though, about the Morgellons. You know, it's like we're a perfect energy source, host,
a perfect
medium.
Host.
Yeah. Yep. Everything
and
that it needs.
Like a couple of weeks before I died, because I've died before. A couple of weeks before I died, I had cardiac arrest and arrhythmia. And Ange predicted it 2 weeks before it happened. She said it to me. She says, I'm afraid you're going to die.
So should I get worried because you were asking me how I'm doing last night? Quite concerned. Ange hasn't had any kind of crazy visions of me, is she? I'm only joking, Joe.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. But I mean, she did. She said, I'm afraid you're going to die. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Get out of here. So when it happened, she knew instantly what it was, and she sprang right into action. And had she not done that, I wouldn't be here right now. You know? So, I mean, that's the kind of level of craziness that I deal with in my household. It's nuts.
I think everybody has these abilities to a certain extent. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of an individual basis. Some people have, you know, like Ange, you know, I mean, some people are, you know, these abilities are very prominent in them, and some people might not really manifest in them too much, but I think we all have that ability. And I think we kind of tap into that ability when we dream. I think a lot of our dreams are precognition and forewarnings that we just don't even realize. You know what I mean? Or we're looking into something that for some reason we need to see. And we just don't make the connection pretty much like 99% of the time. You know, right. We just chalk up the dream to, oh, you know, that was just a crazy dream. But I think it's a lot more than that. Yeah. And, you know, I've had dreams a few times where whatever has happened in the dream played out like a couple weeks later, something like that. And you're like, whoa, you know, and it's just, it's interesting. So yeah, I think we have those abilities. I no doubt. So much of our brain is,
and if we don't have them now, Scott, if we don't have them now in the near future, if we don't naturally, organically upgrade and develop them, there's always a chip we can take that'll give us all of these superpowers that we crave, right?
I've heard it, Scotty, explained to me like this. You know, it's all in how you exercise the ability. And as time goes on, that voice gets quieter and quieter, or it can get louder and louder depending on how you're interfacing, if you will. I can tell you my personal experience is that it's very hard for me to understand that those abilities that she has, because I'm nowhere near that at all.
Exactly.
If anything, no, it's foreign to me. It really truly is. And but being able to witness it, I have more of an understanding. But I don't know anything about how it feels or how it manifests or nothing like that. I just don't have it.
Yeah, like I said, the most I've ever had was like a couple dreams that seemed like they kind of played out a couple weeks later, and that was like the most of anything I've ever experienced.
Have you experienced a lot of deja vu?
Oh, when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was young, I experienced a lot of deja vu, actually. But I do get recurring dreams, like the same scenario happening over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it usually involves, funny enough, it involves tornadoes in a giant storm.
Say it ain't so.
Geoshift. Imagine my surprise at Geoshift dreaming about the weather. Jimmy, question from the chat room. Who's on the portrait, or who done the portrait on your wall?
Say that one more time, Kev. Ange was talking to me.
Who done the portrait on his wall? You're muted up again, man.
Wall.
Yes.
Yes.
No?
The guitar or the street scene?
I don't know. They just said it's a wild portrait. Who is it?
There's no portraits. There's a street scene, and then there's a guitar with a bent neck. But there's some dolls sitting in a lamp over here.
Oh, creepy dolls.
Maybe that's what they think it is. I'm not sure.
Oh, creepy dolls, man.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do creepy dolls. I find dolls highly creepy.
They're on par with clowns.
Yep.
Well, that's good, because these are clown creepy dolls.
I seen a kind of disturbing story on InfoWars yesterday about a group of clowns that are going around the country. I think it's America and the UK. Only problem with these clowns are when you start to look into their background. Oh, you know they've got a criminal record for, yep, you guessed it, crimes against kids. So clowns took on an even creepier kind of persona yesterday, indeed. But I've got a cracking story here. We're going to shift gears entirely, right? Let's have a look at this one because I'm trying not to laugh just even at
Which one do you got? Okay,
here we go. Here we go. Man tries smuggling drugs in peanut shells in a Pakistan airport and the internet dies laughing at the viral pics. Yeah, a man recently tried to smuggle drugs in peanut shells. He carefully opened every peanut, put drugs in them, and then stuck them back together. The internet is shocked. You know, that's a lot of effort put in there by the guy.
A ton of effort. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Creative. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You got to give him that. He was a man on a mission, and he...
Look at how many nuts he's got. Look at it. Dude.
How did they find out?
Well, it says here, there are a lot of restrictions that are in place to stop people from transporting various items across the borders while flying. But still, a lot of flyers try to export forbidden items like exotic food, animals, and drugs. We've always been curious as to what are some of the most absurd items that people have tried to smuggle across the border. And the Quora thread, quote, what is the most unique item that you've seen come through customs at an airport? Gives us all the answers that we're looking for. And it says here a Quora user, Norbert Almeida, who worked with customs officials during the years 2000 to 2005, responded, through that period, we've seen people try to smuggle baby turtles, scorpions, food items, and of course, drugs. He added, I've been at the airport when carpets soaked in drugs were found, computers with false screens and suitcases with false bottoms and unusual findings, walking canes and even wheelchairs stuffed with drugs. He also wrote about a recent incident where how innovative people who are trying to smuggle can be. Recently, however, something came through security network that certainly left me appreciating the effort. This drug smuggler was caught with peanuts stuffed with drugs, and you can see it here. And it goes on to say,
wow,
the bus...
What an unbelievable level of effort.
Islamabad airport, the internet cannot get over how much thought would have gone into this process. So you've got all the kind of Twitter responses there. Oh my God, so carefully pried the peanuts open.
I wonder how they busted...
That's what I'm saying. How did they bust him?
That, my friends, is my weather radio going off.
Probably a dog.
Ooh, let's listen to it. Let's hear what it sounds like in Kansas whenever the bat signal goes off.
It is.
Is that like weather warning noises?
It is weather war.
Yes, that is weather warning noises coming through my weather.
Shit, dude.
Hold on.
Are we going to be like the first live streamers to see like a twister go through?
Yeah, you might see me die live on the live stream.
No, don't say that, Scott. Twister, fine. Scott dying, not good. Not good. No. So, Jimmy, what'd you make of this genius with his packing the peanut shells with the drugs? That's some thinking, man. Yes. Yes.
That's
Scotty, you don't even know it, but there's
some good thinking.
There's a level of synchronicity going on between you and my wife, and I don't know what the hell's going on, but we're gonna have to talk about this after the broadcast.
You can't leave it like that. You can't just leave it like that.
As soon as your weather alarm went off, and I said, "Wow, that's weird." You know, your weather alarm. Ange is watching an episode of Dr. Phil, and in there he's talking about what was it? Something about the weather. Just at the same time, your weather alarm goes off.
Weird.
It's crazy. Yeah.
There's some weird synchronicity.
Scott's got the siren
on.
now. He gets the siren on his camera because he is under a weather warning. Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, weather warning. I'm looking at the radar now.
Can you imagine it, Joe? If we see our first person flying off it off a live stream.
Scotty, you'd be an internet sensation to see you. Wow. Look at that. It's a guy in a rocket-powered wheelchair. No, there's no rocket on that. It's just a tornado. He's harnessing the power of weather.
And I'm not even trying to do one of these crazy internet challenges. You know, we're talking about jackass and all that stuff. Hey, you know what? I'm going to propose a new challenge. Let's take the tornado challenge.
Do it. That'd be great.
Brilliant. Well, you know, something that I don't think, well, it might make you infamous. And we're shifting gears again, folks.
Again, wow, there's a lot of gear shifting around this.
Any
joint.
young children in the room? Give you a couple of seconds to get them out now, because now we're going into the more risky end of the weird stuff on the internet.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. You see, you like how I'm that respectful, Joe. I let the younger ones get shepherded out the room before we go here. You know, don't want any community guideline strikes or anything like that. Because I want, you know, what's happened to us? Why have we slipped so far? What's happened to morals? Things like that. Because you end up getting headlines like this. Woman who pleasured herself on the tube says, I've got it all wrong, Joe. She was merely taking care of a rash that she has.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. We have sunk to new lows, Kev. Sunk to new lows.
Well, this is right up there with the story you had the time about, remember the guys that got the jail on the train because they were like bearing their...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is what's happening to UK transport systems.
People.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to have to get to a stage here soon where it's going to be dodgy to get on any form of transport in the UK.
All right.
It is. And it says here, a woman who moaned loudly as she pleasured herself on the tube for 10 minutes claimed she was merely itching a rash and she's been hunted by the police. Now, Sarah Hinkson, 37, draped herself across several seats on the Hammersmith and City line and was arrested at King's Cross Station with her hand still down her jeans. She failed to appear in court and a warrant has now been issued for her arrest.
Wait, they arrested her and she still had her hands down her pants?
Yes, she was arrested at King's Cross Station with her hand still down her jeans. Now, in her defence, perhaps it was a sensationally bad rash this lady has got, Joe. Perhaps she did have something she had to scratch for 10 minutes and we weren't there. We weren't there. Maybe she enjoys scratching an itch. Who knows?
I would have asked her, how did she get the rash in that area?
Exactly.
Obviously, some very
questionable hygiene habits.
It's worse because one of the witnesses said she was quite taken aback at seeing Miss Hinkson groaning and stamping her feet as her hands moved around in a gyratory fashion. You're on a tube train. Really, can you not wait till you get home? Do you have to abuse yourself on the way home? Really?
What are you doing? You know, or what, rather, what's at home that would prevent you from doing that you feel comfortable or even uncomfortable doing it there?
What's happened? I mean, I'm a pretty liberal dude. Whatever gets your rocks off, you know what I mean? But not on the tube train. Not in front of other people. Not at least not people you've asked if they mind if you do something like that. You know, at least have the common courtesy to ask first. You know?
Could you imagine? Like,
how do you go about that question? Excuse me, folks. I don't suppose you would mind if
maybe that was her fetish, you know. Maybe she was a voyeurist, you know, and she wanted people to see.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
That's what Nana in the chat room saying. What is it? Well, why has this become a thing? You know, go back to the 1950s or something. Was this a big thing where people had to have people watching them in public to get their rocks off? This is another change as well.
I don't know.
Scott's having none of his. Nope, none of it. None of it.
Yuck.
Not right.
No, not right at all. Speaking of not right, though, since you brought up that, what's up with those English-speaking men over in Poland?
Yes.
You know, this is interesting. Of course, you know, you stick out like a sore thumb over there when you have English accents. But listen to this. This is KSL.com. Police in southern Poland say they're investigating 4 English-speaking tourists spotted last week in historic Krakow wearing only mankinis.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Man.
Again, it's one of those things. What would possess that woman to do that in the tube? Okay. What would possess four gentlemen on holiday.
To go on a horse-drawn carriage wearing said mankinis.
Wearing lime green mankinis, as worn by Borat in the fictional Kazakh alter ego of Sacha Baron Cohen. So, Krakow province police spokesman Sebastian Glenn said Thursday police are investigating the incident antics. Now, if convicted, the men could face 30 days in custody or fines of $1,300 each. Glenn said the tourists, especially British ones, who come for stag parties, sometimes cause disturbances in the historic city, especially after drinking alcohol. So I guess they were a bit tipsy and decided to don some mankinis.
I suppose really we shouldn't be too critical. At least, Scott, at least they aren't touching themselves inappropriately when they're on the horse and carriage, you know?
But I mean,
this is a little more tame. I mean, they are wearing clothes, albeit very, very little. I mean,
yeah.
You know, the mankini is covering the nether region.
Barely,
yes, barely. But you know, sounds like they're not very. Poland's not very down for shenanigans like that, are they?
No, I don't think many places would be down for that. Maybe Vegas, you know, because maybe must be a sidewalk show or something like that, you know. But
that's just a common scene in San Francisco. That's just every day.
Yeah, that's like uniform. That's like that's replaced the suit. I think all you got to do is put a tie on, and you're basically good there in San Francisco. But seriously, dude. Krakow is it's not a place. It's kind of like Turkey, right? You go to Turkey, and I'm not comparing the two, saying that they're similar in nature, but there's a lot of pride or national history there. And people don't take kindly because they almost take it as defacing.
Yes, it's seen as a form of disrespect.
Disrespect, very much so. Very much so.
Yourself in a certain way and present yourself, you know, with a little bit of decency, right? Right. And you know, Poland, I would say that they're a more, I guess, conservative. I guess you could say their thought process. You know, they're more traditional. That's what I was. They're a more traditional country, and I guess you know that's where the parallel comes in when you said, you know, with Turkey, right? They're a more traditional sort of country. So when you pull these little stunts like this, where you're wearing mankinis and all of that, you know, it's seen as a form of disrespect, you know, in their country. And you know, if you're going to be visiting someone else's country, I think you need to show some respect. I think it's extremely disrespectful to do something like that.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, you know, it's just like going to someone's house and deciding you're just going to take your clothes off and sit on their couch in your underwear like you do at home or something. You know what I mean? You have to show some respect for other, you know, for other people and other cultures and, you know, whatever. That's
a great point. That's a great point. So speaking of respect, and I think this is a fantastic time to bring this up, Kev, is, you know, we've done a lot to our environment to warrant a lot of concern. Global warming runs amok. People have asthma, and it's getting out of control. So much so that some of the plant life appears to be rebelling in a way. That's right. That's right, folks.
This is the bit we've been building up to. This is what Joe gave us last night. We've been building up to this all night. I've been waiting for this, Joe.
Freaky Friday, we talked about these mysterious trees, that walking trees at that. And there's no way that we could have talked about it on Freaky Friday and done it justice. So here, my friends, tonight, we are going to play.
We
want to get some commentary from the chat as far as what you think could be causing this. Is this really, truly trees that are walking, or is it some sort of elaborate hoax? You decide.
I'm going to bring it up again because something happened with YouTube there, but I've got it up now. We're all right. We're back. But last night when you brought this up, like you say, you had to see this to appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And I must admit, off the top of my head, when you said to me walking trees, I'm thinking, oh, come on, dude.
I know. I did too. When Ange did, I didn't even want to grace it with 13 minutes or so that the video. But once it started and I saw, I was like, whoa.
I'm thinking to myself, this is as nonsensical as Devil's Rock being like the bottom of a big tree. This is one of these things, you know, it's just not going to hold any water.
All I could think of was the tree people in Lord of the Rings, dude. Tree people in Lord of the Rings, you know, that kind of thing. That's all I had in my head at that point. And I'm thinking, how do you fake this? How do you do it?
Well,
don't forget, Joe. Remember Mortal Kombat? You had the stage with the trees with the mouths on it.
Yep. Now check this.
Are we ready for this? Really?
I'm ready.
This is bizarre. Trees already freak me out. They freaked me out before. Wait do you get a load of this, folks? Unbelievable.
A video called The Walking Tree. We catch a glimpse of the tree walking upright. The onlooker catches out his film.
What?
Catches this.
Let's pause it there, right? Let's pause it there because so far we've got a number of options. Obviously, we've got CGI.
Yeah.
We have got, if we're going to take it at face value, for somebody to be doing this physically to make it look like a tree's walking, somebody's holding this tree at the base and they're walking with it just below the eye line of the camera. Or
No, I know how that could be done though.
Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah,
Really? Go ahead. Yeah, because I'm dying here.
Third option, or it is an actual phenomena. So Scott, first up, go for it, man. What's your thoughts on it, dude? And there's more we can look at. This is just one of them. That it's tame.
Okay, so they have these tree cutters, these machines, these vehicles, I guess you could say, and they actually grab the trunk of the tree and saw through them, and they can pick them up and carry them around, and also strip the branches off the tree. You might have to look up what those particular type of tree cutters are, but I think you probably have seen them before.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is some of these are those machines grabbing the tree and cutting it and then lifting them up and carrying them. And maybe that's what you're seeing is maybe a logging operation or them.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, then let's continue.
Jimmy, initial thoughts before we get number two.
Yeah, what Scott said.
Right. Okay then. I like that. It makes sense. It does make sense. I've seen machines like that. Let's go further into this then. Let's see. Number 4. Oh, play, you silly thing. There we go.
Should I say moving? One of them plants after moving. It moves out of sight. And then the second one moves falling behind.
What?
Watch. Let's watch again here. In the first video, we see it kind of collapse out of sight. And in the next one, we see a figure of an outlining of a humanoid being within the middle of the video. Let's take a look. Do you see somebody running?
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it sure is. Now, eventually, it looks like it falls.
Yep.
You know, so maybe to your point, Scott, maybe that's what we're seeing. But do you see how fast it is? It's really fast. It's moving real fast.
Here's the one.
I'll try to find some video of these tree cutters. That way we can kind of compare what they look like, you know, while they're working and doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll do that while we're watching this.
Check this next one then. Here we go.
Video number 3. Another video called...
No vehicle there.
No vehicle.
Walking Trees.
No tree cutter.
We catch somebody.
What?
Kind of tipsy.
Unique. Over the span of 6 minutes, he captured...
And then it comes down.
Over
Right.
a few of these.
Was the vehicle behind the house?
Maybe.
What's shocking...
Let's go back to the start of it.
this.
I don't know where the tree. Well,
You seeing? Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Very weird.
Walking trees.
I mean, there's so many things that could come into play, like
Okay,
perspective and how far away
Yeah.
you are, and you know, it's just there's a lot of things that. But I don't know. That is a wild one. That's a very bizarre one.
Here we go. That could be somebody pulling on that with a string.
So there's more than one tree.
Do you think a string would do that?
Yeah, that kind of looks. Yeah, like maybe
That-
they tied rope or a chain or something, and were tugging on it with a car. That's
But then
awful.
how do you keep it upright? That's the other thing, you know, is like, how do you keep it upright for that long? I don't know. I mean, that's skill, but certainly, I mean, I am certainly inclined to call it a hoax. You know, it's just, I don't know how they're pulling it off.
There's weirder to come though. They're really,
Yeah,
yeah. You guys haven't seen anything yet, folks.
No.
Right, here we go. I mean, that's pretty much on the move there. Look.
What are we seeing?
Yeah.
Let's find out. Leave your comments below.
Okay then, number 2.
What do you call moving trees? We witness, well, some more moving trees. However, these ones are moving from the uproot. And you showcase very well
I might be able to explain this one, possibly.
just how possible it is for these creatures to move.
Yeah.
I know what that is because I've seen it before.
Most likely it is. Easily, these roots can be removed.
Okay then, Scotty, you first.
I know what that is because I've seen it before. Those are trees that were almost blown over by wind and they're half uprooted. And so now the wind is just blowing and rocking them back and forth, and you're just seeing the side that was pulled up from the ground.
That makes
Are you
sense.
saying you experience a lot of high winds over in Kansas? Is that right?
I may have experienced a wind gust or two and seen a little bit of
That
tree
makes
damage.
sense.
It reminds me eerily, Kev. It reminds me eerily of what I was telling you last night about the walking palms down in the Amazon rainforest. That when the tree canopy gets too thick, they actually migrate outside of the tree canopy to get light. Supposedly, it happens so slowly you can't actually see it, but I mean, they do that. So, I mean, wow.
Right, number 1.
Number one.
Number one.
Number 1. In a video called Real Talking Trees, we see a onlooker with his children hiking through the woods,
Make the noise, see if the tree will talk to you.
communicating with the trees. However, they communicate back. Let's take a listen.
Did you hear that? Right, say it again, see if it'll talk to you again. Right, shh. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It's hard to hear with the music over the top, though.
Oh, why did they add music?
Yeah.
I
to
hate that. I hate that. But you're absolutely right. That's that creaking sound.
So are we dismissing the walking trees? I thought this was good, dude.
I like it. I know. I'm all for it. Now, like I said, I'm prone to call it probably a hoax, but at the same time, though, I just don't know how you pull a hoax like that off, and that's I don't know.
I still think some are chalked to that
Like an excavation type of thing, or
that tree
deforesting?
thing. And I know for a fact number 2 was just trees that weren't completely uprooted from a windstorm, and so they're
Right.
just kind of barely hanging on. But the other ones, I mean, I don't know. The one where that tree was moving behind those houses was really bizarre.
Yeah, pretty
you know?
pretty bizarre indeed. And so I don't know, man. All I can say is that many things in our course of study and observation often appear to be weird. And these things happen in plain sight a lot of times, but it's kind of like, well, if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Well, does it? Does it though?
It's quantum, yes and
yeah. There's no observer. Damn you, Joe.
Ev, I'll drop. I'm going to drop a picture, or I'm going to drop a video of the wood cutting machine that I was talking about. That way, we can kind of get an idea.
Okay, man. Okay.
That way, you can show
yeah.
people.
No, because I hadn't even considered that. I was looking. I'd definitely gone full woo early when Joe showed me this. Here we go. Copy this. Let's have a look at this bad boy.
Watch how that operates, and then imagine yourself maybe off in the distance, just seeing the tree. You probably have to. They probably got some retarded music or something to it, but.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah. So when that's picking up, it can literally go along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that could answer some of them, Joe.
Hold on, Angie's trying to find another phenomenon that would be kind of weird.
Nice, we like phenomenon. I forgot to show that on the screen.
Good phenomenon.
Yeah, we love a good phenomenon. If anyone in the chat room has got anything creepy or weird, if anyone in the chat room has got anything creepy or weird for us to look at, feel free, drop it in there. We like creepy and weird.
Yes, I hate to poo-poo on the walking tree thing, but
no, Scott. Logic is important, especially
in Carolina, Scotty. I saw those all the time because what they would do is like farmers would go on like 15-year rotations, and basically areas of forest that they weren't allowed to. They had to have a certain percentage of their land. If they bought it and it had trees, it had to have trees, right, and of a certain size. So they would basically sell to the lumber yards because International Paper was like an hour away, and they would take the trees and make diapers and all sorts of crap out of it. But saw those all the time, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, these machines are unbelievable in what they can do. They basically not only cut the tree, transport it, but strip all the freaking stuff off it, everything in one fell swoop. Almost like another amazing machine is like a peanut combine. If you've ever seen what a peanut combine does, it's really interesting. But it's one of those machines, you're right, that could most certainly make that appear to happen.
Yeah, because I can pick it up and hold it upright and carry it around, and somebody standing off in the distance be like, "Holy crap, that tree's moving, man!" So
so right.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat room said they don't think the trees can walk. I agree, but they do believe the trees are conscious.
Very much so.
Yeah, I do. Back to last night in the conversation. You know, I think the whole forest, I think all of that is networked together. Insects, fungi, trees, all of it. And
I can't remember what tree species or like what kind of tree it is, but it's like its whole root system is networked. So it's one giant organism. It's not just individual trees by themselves, but the whole thing is one giant network. And so, no doubt they're organic living beings, just like, everything else. So they have some type of, what I guess you could say, sentience or something.
Armand in the chat room, he believes that. Jay Simpson, everything is conscious. Anthony Smith, very alive. Dark Hostess, yep. True, we have to make ourselves known. I think most people would pretty much agree on the trees, I think. It's like a no-brainer.
Wholeheartedly, yeah. I mean, I think they're most certainly sentient at a minimum, but
so I also believe they act as antennas. They ground themselves to the earth. And they pull up the earth energies, and there's so much to trees that I think there's a lot more to them than we understand. you know. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Hey, so let's go to the chat and see what we can conjure up. What do you want us to talk about? Why don't you throw it on in there, and we'll give it a go.
Well, we've got about 15 minutes left, so where do we want to go? Do we want to go to the chat room? Will we?
Yeah, we're going to the chat room, and
let's go to the chat. Let's see what they
stuff at us and see what's going on.
Yes, let's see. Give it a moment for them to hear that, because I know there's a bit of a lag, a bit of a delay.
Just
Jimmy,
a wee lag.
Jimmy, you're on tonight on the radio. Tell us what you've got planned for Into the Microcosm while we wait for the chat to populate.
Yeah, tonight I'm going to be looking at single source providers for pop culture programming. And I'm going to be taking a look at songwriters, prolific songwriters. I'm going to be looking at the Brill Building in New York City. I'm going to look at Motown. And then in the second part of the show, I'm going to be taking a look at the Chicago 8 and the Democratic conventions, the protesting that went on, and show the parallels to the population's psychology now, and then show how this same program's going to get run out. That's why I'm almost 100% sure that Trump's going to go into Venezuela, just because the anti-war young people protest scenario to me seems like it's going to play out. And when Bush was in office, they didn't show any of the protesting. But this time, because everybody's against Trump, what they'll do is they will promote every single protest against Trump like it's no tomorrow. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that end up out in the streets that normally wouldn't. They'll get hyped up by seeing other people go. So I'm going to take a look at this, what's already happened in the past. And somebody in particular is Bobby Seale. He's one of the originating founders of the Black Panther Party. And so it should be a good one, man. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for asking, Kev. I appreciate it.
No, that's going to be good. And you get that over on tfrlive.com. What time's that at, Jimmy?
It's at 9 Pacific, 12 midnight Eastern.
Awesome. And remember, you also have to take a note, and you have to do a show on the backmasking in video games. Backmasking.
Yeah, I was talking to Rio about that earlier today. We're going to start looking at some of these, especially there's a dialogue in some of these games. You know, a lot of these games where they set the game up.
At the start of them, Jimmy, there's usually a whole heap of footage, and usually
like a movie almost.
Yeah, because it's real actors now. You know, they've got the real actors in there. So there's going to be a lot for you to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. We were doing something. This is how one of my video channels got turned off, was that, I mean, you know, the big sin is that you can't run a commercial, right? And so we were doing a show about backmasking, and during the day I was sitting there with Rio and I go, hey man, has anybody ever done any backmasking on commercials? And he goes, no, I don't think so. And I go, man, we should check it out. I bet you there's something there. And the very first one he went to is like a McDonald's commercial. And there was full on, buy programming going on in the back. It wasn't like nefarious, like evil kind of stuff. It was stuff to make you buy a sausage burger or whatever, you know what I mean? But we found it immediately. But because we were playing the commercials, right, and then playing them backwards, my channel got blown
check
out.
This out. I mean, I just typed in symbolism in computer games, and anyone out there wants to check this out, lots of stuff. You've got video games, hidden Illuminati symbolism, Illuminati, occult symbolism. Yeah, I've got to throw the Illuminati in there. That's worth about 10k views alone, having Illuminati in your title. Yeah,
that's right.
Well, you know what's interesting is the newest Grand Theft Auto. They intentionally put symbolism in there because they know that people would find it. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, they actually went with it, and they kind of had a laugh with it. So it's like you see the Illuminati triangle in Grand Theft Auto 5.
See, Kev is just Illuma naughty.
I'm Illuminati. Yes,
yeah.
I can't be
What's
trusted.
You know what's
his nut-
funny?
Hang on.
You know what's funny?
On you go, Scott, and then Jimmy.
Okay. You know what's funny about Grand Theft Auto 5 is, people who know about the Grand Theft Auto series know that I think it's starting in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It gave you the ability to cycle through different radio stations and listen to like rock station, hip hop. They had a talk station and all that stuff. Grand Theft Auto 5 on the talk station, they got a guy on there who's like very, very much
Alex
like
Jones.
yes, exactly. And he's like doing conspiracy stuff and all that. It's pretty funny,
Jimmy, I know you're going to jump in here, but just quickly, we had a guy on Freaky Friday one time who used to work for Rockstar Games, and he was sitting on the Freaky Friday panel, and he was saying, Joe, this would be perfect for the radio in Grand Theft Auto. And I honestly thought to myself, if we could get our show onto the track on Grand Theft Auto.
My gosh. Would that not be just like...
Wow. Yeah, like you flip it to the radio station and it's just like a random episode of The Weekenders while playing Grand Theft Auto. That'd be amazing.
Jimmy?
I always used to play the hip hop channel. They think they had Dre on there.
There's some good tunes on there. There's like real good tunes
on there, and there's nothing better when you're driving around in the hood and you're 6'4" and you're shooting people.
Here we go. Right, we've got this will be up your street, Jimmy. I know you've spoke about this before. We spoke about it on Freaky Friday, guys, from the chat room. See their construction ads for the Denver airport. They're feeding the conspiracy about it. Kristen, we've spoke about the fact that they've even installed a gargoyle at the airport. Basically welcomes you to the Illuminati airport. You better believe they're feeding off this hype. Now, here's the question, though. Clever marketing, the same as Grand Theft Auto. They know these people like these kind of things. Conspiracies are popular. Or just blatantly hiding it so much out in the open that people, even like me, go, come on. There can't be something to this. This is too obvious, right, Scott?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think it's clever marketing and putting it in people's face. So it's a win-win situation for them because they can capitalize on it, but then they can also tell people too. So
true. Is that what you're thinking, Joe? No comments on the Denver airport?
No, I mean, it's played out, dude. It's totally and completely played out. It is what it is. There's certainly some nefarious aspects to it. To what extent, I don't know. The artwork is certainly suspect.
Check this thing out. It moves. I didn't know it moved.
Yeah, it talks to you. It actually talks to you too as you go by. But that's not near as crazy as that mural. That freaking Nazi mural, the one with the stormtrooper on it. And
the mural, that's a whole different ballgame because, the gargoyle, it's just them.
It's kind of a joke, if you will, but it's the mural's sick, Scott. It's sick.
Yeah, the mural has been there since the beginning, and people didn't really start realizing until people started looking at it and they're like, what the hell is this thing doing in an airport? It's just so dark. It's such a dark thing to put in an airport. And the whole airport in a way is kind of dark. Like after going through that airport, I would not want to fly a plane, just seeing all the stuff, like seeing that horse, and the horse is like real demonic looking, it's like the horse of death. You see the mural and it's got the, guy with the sword. It's just weird.
And then a lot of people
get on your plane and enjoy your flight afterwards. It's like, that you really set the tone.
Jimmy, a lot of people think about the vast amount of land around Denver airport, but that all plays into the Aerotropolis concept of being able to center a metropolis around the airport.
Yeah, well, it's like a 50-mile zone. They draw a ring around an international airport, and then within that 50-mile zone, the Constitution of the United States does not apply. You're right. And then if you go on the ACLU's website and type in conspiracy-free or constitution-free zones, because 100 miles in from any border is a constitution-free zone. So everywhere there's a border with Mexico, And so, I mean, if you look at what's actually left of the states after you're outside of these zones where the Constitution actually applies, it's very small, really small. But the Denver airport is a super interesting topic. Just from the archaeology aspect of it, because when we look at that gargoyle, it's it seems like an obvious situation, but is it just hidden in plain sight? Is it just like, hey, don't worry about it, because it's just, if you go right inside, I mean, to make it seem like a joke in and of itself, to most people, most thinking Americans or whatever would think it's a joke. But you can go inside and take a look at it. It says the New World Airport in there. There's all kinds of Masonic symbolism. Not that that's bad.
I think they're using a joke to put it in people's faces.
Exactly. Why not? It doesn't matter. You know what? There's places, there's people that watch the Denver airport. Anytime situations get tense around the world, people watch the Denver airport as a signal. When you start seeing private jets flying into Denver, and you see a lot of them, there's a lot of people that think that's a signal that something's happening. That's a warning signal. So because for whatever reason, there's a place to go under there.
It's like the serial killer picking someone up and then joking with them, saying, "Man, you shouldn't hitchhike because you might get picked up by a serial killer one time."
What's funny is there's that movie, that 2012 movie where there's all these people that have these certain tickets that can get inside these protective zones, and to jump inside of these sort of like submarine arcs, these futuristic style arcs that they built that were on the top of all these giant mountains. So when the oceans, sloshed around, people would survive.
That was a good movie, man. I'd have been with Woody Harrelson. I'd have been waiting for the Yellowstone to go off, man.
So just so everybody knows, Joe Joseph is the one who designed those arcs.
How did you get? How did you guess? Yes, and they survived. They did indeed.
Fantastic. Brilliant. But we're almost out of time, guys. We'll have a quick look at the chat room here. We've got...
Of course, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have Beard Vision. So Beard Vision will be on, and it'll be on like never seen before. That's right. The beard brings a certain level of...
wooery.
And hairiness to the whole.
Yeah, thing. Definitely.
Jocularity.
A hairy hole, if you will.
And if you want to get a hold of me, you can do it at 41jimmyjean@gmail.com. 41jimmyjean@gmail.com.
Wow. Hey, what's happening here, man? You the cougars starting to come in, Jimmy?
That's so funny.
Well, it's not just that, but I mean it's also that people may want to get a hold of me or whatever. So if they want to, that's an easy way, because I check it every day. And 41jimmyjean@gmail. So it's pretty simple. That's it, man. I mean, woohoo! I've had a great time. Thanks a lot for having me, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Sorted, man. We've got Google Blows in the chat room. I live in Denver, and it's certainly a questionable topic. And yes, the whole area around the airport will be built up. It's already starting with neighborhoods.
And I'll tell you what, there's some serious black magic that goes on in Denver, and it is a serious place for black magic. I'll tell you that.
Right. There's one thing we must look at before we go, and it's not something I want to look at. However, I do believe. Hang on, just making sure it's up here. Oh. Somebody subscribed. Look at that. Nice new graphics. We like that. Irish Rose. Yes, it is here. Okay, then. Does anyone know about AOC? My favourite AOC. She went on a drunken live stream.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know about it.
Mom's telling me about
right?
that.
I saw it.
Okay,
I watched it.
We're going to watch a little minute of this, and I'm not too impressed with it. I must admit, I'm not happy about this. But, here we go. We'll have a little look.
You should also know that the internet documents everything, and your grandchildren will not be able to hide the fact that you fought against acknowledging and taking bold actions on climate change.
Hold on, pause it. She just said the internet documents everything. That's right, AOC. Just like it's documenting your drunken rant right now.
Wait till you hear what the rest of what she says, man. Wait till you hear this. It's good. This is good.
Right, hang on. We'll get it back on. Hang on. Here we go.
I just had to point that out. That was too ridiculous.
People who are trying to mock and delay this moment, I mean, I just feel bad for you. I just pity you for your role in
tree right now. I do. Is it walking?
She's
Guess what?
still cute.
I'm 29. I'm the youngest woman to ever be elected to the United States Congress. I have plenty of time to learn, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes and iterate in public either. And frankly, if the mistakes that I'm making are just a one-off, like, rhetorical thing, you correct it, acknowledge it, and move on. At least I'm not trying to cage children in the border and inject them with drugs. That's not a mistake.
Any children.
She's yeah.
She says he caged children and injected them with poison.
Wasn't it Obama that started all that caging stuff?
Yeah,
Yes.
probably.
Here we go. Here we go. We'll
As a
see what-
deliberate policy to attack people based on their national origin. That's not a mistake. That's just hatred. That's just cruelty. That's just wrong.
So she has a problem. So if she has a problem with children being injected, is she going to come out against vaccines now?
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm sure
Well,
she's
I'm
got
sorry.
some special interest funding going to her freaking super PAC right now.
The way that was phrased was a script. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. I'll bet you she's not even drunk. I'll bet you this is all an act. Go ahead. I bet you it is.
Nah, I think she was
Years
drunk.
until the world ends again. We have 12 years left to cut emissions
Yeah,
by
she's
at
drunk.
least 50%.
You can hear it in her
more.
voice.
And for everyone who wants to make a joke about that, you may laugh, but your grandkids will not. So
When she's got the munchies too.
understand
She's gorgeous.
that the internet documents everything, and for all those people, you know, you want to talk about looking in the back of history.
Corn nuts? Oh gosh, give me some corn nuts already.
Oh, please tell me she dances. Please tell me she busts a move.
Looking backwards, you look back and you open history books on the civil rights movement, and you see those
Like the
folks
whole way?
who were protesting against.
What was that, Joe?
Where is she live streaming from? It looks like the hallway or her bathroom or something.
Yeah.
She's building furniture in her house from.
Yeah. Here we go.
The ability for African Americans and Black Americans to have the right to vote. And they would hold up these bigoted signs, and they would hold up signs that said things like, what about white rights, and like all of this stuff in the 1950s, 1960s. So just know that in the present day, there are a lot of people who hide the fact that their families and that their grandparents fought against principles of equal rights in the United States. Not 100 years ago, not 80 years ago, but in this generation's lifetime. So just know that while a lot of people can hide that their grandparents did that in the civil rights movement, you should also know that the internet documents everything, and your grandchildren will not be able to hide the fact that you fought against acknowledging and taking bold.
Her grandchildren are going to have to watch this, you know. Her children and her
It's
grandchildren.
embarrassing. She's going to have that moment down the road where she's like, I can't believe I did that.
It's on the internet. Everything's on the internet. It's there forever, you know. Nah, come on, guys. Give her a break.
Be taken back.
Give her a break. She's working really, really hard. We've only got 12 years left.
No.
Totally and completely biased.
Just no. Jimmy, come on, man. Surely you cut the girl some slack, right? No, he's even not. He's muted up over her.
Jesus Christ.
No, you keep muting in and out, dude. I don't know what's happening there.
I was just saying, I like her style. I mean, she's, whatever. She's doing her thing. She is 29 years old. She is the youngest person. But the time to learn about the government and the subjects that you're talking about, it's not like in the middle of talking about them, but she's not afraid to just step out and just start talking, even though she doesn't have the facts. So I think, she'll probably survive. She'll survive any negativity to a point where she mellows out a little bit because she gets a little bit of wisdom with her experience and her knowledge, and she'll mellow out a little bit, and she'll be a player at sometime soon, I think.
No, she's definitely, there's big plans for her, and I like to laugh and joke about her and trigger people, and yeah, I think she's absolutely stunningly hot. But hey-ho, no doubt we'll be here this time next week, and there'll be yet more embarrassing material of AOC so that Scott can get me with it. But we'll be back tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, yes. We will be returning under the authority of the beard. Yes, we hand over the wheel to the beard on the weekend.
All hail the beard.
Yeah, all hail the beard. And definitely looking forward to this. Who knows where the beard will take us. It could be here, there, anywhere. And what I love most about it is the fact that so many of my audience here have never been exposed to the beard before. I don't say experience, I say exposed to the beard. Popeye is a unique experience from start to finish.
It's almost like Ebola. Yeah, very much so.
It's nothing like Ebola, dude. That's shocking, man. Shocking. I'm trying to think, did we talk about the Illuminati computer games long enough for me to put Illuminati in the title? Clickbait the hell out of people. I'm only joking, folks. I'm only joking. But listen, if you enjoyed the stream, consider giving us a tip via the links in the description. Even if you didn't, doesn't matter, because we'll be back tomorrow to do the same thing, same time. No, later time tomorrow of 5 p.m.
8 p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 1 a.m. for me here in the UK. Yes, 1 a.m. That Joe Joseph and Popeye and Scott, they're bad to me. And Jimmy, they're all bad to me. They forget what time I'm on. Yes, this pesky globe with its time zones, eh? Yeah? What can you say? Usually you say globe, it triggers Joe, but we're obviously getting to that part of the show now where it's time to go. So, Joe, last words for the Wookiees.
It's round.
Oh, God, it's not. It's a hemorrhoid. Joe.
It's a hemorrhoid.
Jimmy. He's muted up again.
I really appreciate being here, and I want to thank everybody for joining us over there in the chat room. And it was a really super good time over there tonight, man. Very active, really cool. And hey, thanks a lot, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Yes, so we'll be back tomorrow. Scotty, I'll let you say your fond farewells to these amazing people who had put up with us for over 2 hours, man.
If I am not whisked away to the land of Oz here within the next couple of minutes, I shall see everyone tomorrow, and I eagerly await conversation with the mythical beard himself.
Well, I can't wait till you tell us tomorrow. You'll never guess what happened, guys. Going to bed.
You'll never guess what happened.
Heard the wind picking up. Opened my curtains. Bloody tree walks past. Right.
And I'm in St. Louis now. What happened?
Who knows? Who knew? But guys, we are out of here now. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. So will all of you. I don't ask you. I insist you come along tomorrow. More fun, more information, lots more hilarity at Popeye's expense. So until then, folks, let us love you and leave you and play you out with Joe Joseph's favourite song. Are you ready? Here we go.